Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Gotta Love the Highway. Like I was saying, this is Guy in His Garage. My name's Cam. You might have noticed, if you've been following the channel now since we started, typically I post every Friday. Last Friday I didn't post anything. Reason being, I haven't really talked about it much. Probably only half of the subscribers to the channel actually know. It's pretty obvious, YouTube's not the full-time job. So I actually am part of the United States Army. And my unit went to the field last week. So unfortunately I didn't have time to really film content, get it edited, and get it posted up for you guys. So in that case, that's on me. I got to get better about getting back ahead of it so that no matter what, you guys always get a video on Friday. With that being said, we got a special project. I was going to do some small engine stuff, you know, how to properly service your weed whacker and your chainsaw and some other small stuff like that. But we're not doing that. We will later on, just not in this video or maybe the next one either. But I also make rustic American flags. Here's a picture for you. So I've been making these since 2020 when COVID hit. I kind of wanted something to do while we were forced to be in quarantine. So I started making these flags. I've been making them since. Back when we were still in Virginia, I actually made this flag for my buddy from college who is a mid-flight paramedic, EMT, I'm not sure which one he is, but he gets to fly around in helicopters and help people. He works for a company called DART. They're part of the Dartmouth-Hitchcock medical world, which is, for some of you probably know, is like in the New Hampshire, Vermont, Massachusetts type area. So I made that flag for him, and what's interesting is they actually have two different birds. So his crew is using that flag for all their challenge coins, and he put me in contact with one of the guys from the other flight crew that wanted one. Well, they recently reached out, and we put it all together, and we're pretty much going to build the exact same flag, but this time you guys are going to see from when we take the raw wood, get it all cut, sanded, glued together, stained, carved, and there might even be later on down the road, not in this video, but a really cool piece to where we might get to go do something pretty cool. But we'll see, so stay tuned. That'll be in a later video. So today, I'm gonna get all the boards cut, all the holes drilled, screwed together, and then what we'll start doing is we'll start cutting those slat pieces that actually make the shelves that are on the flag to hold the coins and getting them glued onto the boards. Unfortunately, the gluing process is what makes these particular flags take so much longer. Is I only have enough clamps to really do 3 of the shelves at a time. Just haven't bought more clamps to be able to do it. Who knows? Maybe I'll bite the bullet on this one and just do it, seeing as this will be the 4th or 5th coin flag that we've built. I've only been offering them for about a year. So with that all being said, let's get into it. Okay guys, so I got you set up here on the workbench. So now what we'll do, like I was saying before, grab some of these boards, get them laid out, start playing around with them and seeing what we like. Okay guys, so we got our 13 boards laid out on here on the workbench. And in all honesty, these look pretty good. There doesn't seem to be any weird gaps in between boards that when we go to screw them together, that won't suck themselves nice and tight. You probably notice I put two boards over here. It's because like this one, the end's all ate up. So I'll likely actually use this as one of the shelves because we're only going to need about half of this board for the shelf. So most of this will be gone. And then this one just had some weird curvature to it. It was creating a big gap. So we'll also probably likely use this one for one of the upper smaller shelves. So now what I'll do is, you probably notice on some ends we still have our tags. So I'll take a pick tool, pull all those staples out. Without stabbing myself. That actually only appears the only two with tags on them, so that's cool. So now what we'll do is we'll take our big straight edge, pretty much our metal meter stick, and we'll start using a pencil to scribe out where we need to drill all of our holes. So what I actually use is a Krager pocket jig with its set drill bit. Gives us a nice recessed hole that helps the boards suck themselves into each other, closing up that gap if we have it, and kind of hides the hardware. Now granted, the hardware is on the back, so you're really not going to see it anyway, so it's typically up against the wall. But I like using this. I think it helps create a nice clean product. So we'll go ahead, get this marked out, drill all of our holes, get the boards all screwed together, and go from there. Okay guys, we've got all of our holes marked out. So what I do is I take my pocket hole jig, line it up pretty much dead center over that line that I marked out, and then I just take a clamp down onto the board, and then just drill the hole. And now we got like a bunch of these freaking holes left to drill. So let's get into it. Okay guys, we got all of our holes drilled. So now what we're going to do is we're actually going to start screwing the boards together. So typically what I do for this is I actually take 2 of my clamps and typically 3 boards, get them all nice and lined up, and then pull them together. Before I put my screws in, what I like to do is I like to flip it over and see our face of the actual flag and see how much it is or isn't lined up. All this does is help eliminate some of the sanding for later on. And then we got these specialized square head screws. These are also Craig screws. And we just take these, drill them in. Probably don't want to put a screw in that one because we'll put it straight to our finger because there's no board over there. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and get all these screws put in, bring you guys back for the next step. Okay guys, as you can see, we got all of our screws in. You might notice this mistake right here. This hole should have been over here. Part of that is because I actually flipped this board over before I drilled the holes, so I didn't re-mark where the hole should be. I just kind of estimated based off of where the marks were on the other side, which obviously because it's reversed, I should have thought about that and put this hole over here, but I didn't, because if you notice, this board actually has a pretty big dent on this side. So if we drilled the holes on the other side, this would have been on the face of the flag. And although it's a rustic flag, that's just too much of a dent for me to want it on the front. So now what I'll actually do is some of our shorter boards from over there, I actually take 2 of them and I typically run one right about here in between this set of screws, and I run another one over here between these set of screws. And all that does is help give the flag a lot more rigidity and makes it last a lot longer. So we'll go ahead and do that next. Okay guys, so it's actually been a couple days. Sunday afternoon, evening was just too nice for me not to take the motorcycle out. It's the first day that's hit above 55 degrees here in upstate New York. So I got the bike all cleaned up and went for a nice like hour and a half ride, and took a little break from this. So this morning, because it's currently 4:25 in the morning, but we had a short amount of time to get this video out for you guys in like 2 days. So I'm gonna get the top sanded down. For that, typically what I do is I'll hit it first with some 80 grit on a belt sander, and then I'll hit it with some 120 grit on a belt sander. Once we get the top sanded, what we'll do is we'll take some of these other boards and start getting them figured out where we're putting our shelves. And then we'll bust out the table saw, get them cut up, start laying them out. Let's get into it. Okay guys, so now we have our flag surface all nice and sanded. It's nice and smooth. So now what I typically do is I take my star stencil, and right now we're not going to trace out all the stars, but what we are going to do is we're going to mark out the area that'll make up what's called the union of the flag. So that's where our union's going to be. What's important to know for that is because the shelves on the from here up are only as long as from this edge to the edge of the union. If you try to put it through the stars, one, I don't think it looks good, and two, you're gonna have to try to transition the shelf from red to blue or white to blue, plus try to carve start out. It just, no, ain't happening. So now what I'll do is typically I will lay out where our shelves are gonna go, and then we'll start getting them cut to the right size and dimensions and get ready for glue up. So let's get into it. Okay, so we got the bottom shelf that'll be on our second from the bottom red stripe. So that'll be this one here. Excuse me. And then we'll go up every red stripe to the top of the flag. So this will be our first one that has to be cut. Our second one that has to be cut. And then this will be our last stripe, or last shelf right here. So this is one of the boards I didn't use when making the flag because it's got a nice curve to it. However, because I'm using it for one of the shorter shelves, I can cut the section off and get most of that curve out, so it'll work really good right there. So that's where our 5 stripes are gonna go. So now what we'll do is we'll go over to the table saw, we'll get that adjusted to make the initial cuts, and then we'll change the table saw up to be able to actually cut the notch into the board, which makes up the shelf. Okay guys, so we got our first shelf here on the table saw. So typically what I do is you'll see there's like a tape measure piece on the table saw. So I use that to adjust our stop here. Typically what I'll do is I'll bring this down to a 1/2 inch. So right there, line it up. I think that might be just about where we need to be. Although, let's do it from this end so that this junk piece, the majority of that comes out. And actually we might come in another 1/8. So it'll be 3/8 of an inch. Yeah, that's what we want. Or is it? So like I said, guys, I've only made a handful of these, so I haven't truly found the perfect size for when I make these shelves. I'm still kind of playing with it and figuring out what I do and don't like. I think I am going to go back to 1/2 inch. Actually, I don't like that, so we're going to split 3/8 and 1/2 inch. That's a little better. And then we'll just make sure that our blade will cut all the way through, because this is a small cut, so it should be fine. So now we'll do the dangerous sketchy part. Okay, so as you can see, we have this super thin piece and this thicker piece. So this thicker piece will actually be what makes up our shelf. So before I go cutting the notch into this, what I'll do is I'll cut all the other ones to this same dimension. Okay guys, so now that we got all of our shelves cut down to the right dimension, now what we'll do is we will start actually cutting in our notches. So it's probably hard to tell on camera, but this side is wider than this side. So we'll cut our notch into here. So typically what I'll do is I'll come back in to about 1/4 inch, and then I'll line that up. And as you guys can tell, that leaves probably about 1/4 inch on the inside of the saw. Because what the goal is here is to create a notch so that you have wood on the outside and the inside, and a notch in between them to be able to actually set the coins down into. Now this would probably be where a dado stack, which would be like where you have 2 or multiple saw blades that cut a notch, or quote unquote a dado. I don't have that, so typically what I'll do is I'll cut all of them once like this, and then I will widen it back out so that we move towards the outside, cut another notch, and then depending on how much is left in between them, I may sometimes run it through again, or I'll just take a chisel and just break whatever centerpiece is left in between the two cuts. So let's go ahead and get into it. Okay guys, we got our notch cut out. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a chisel. I usually use a 1/2 inch. And you can see we have this little piece still in here. So you just take the 1/2 inch chisel, lightly pry up on it at the base. And it just comes right out. And then you have a relatively nice clean notch for the coins to sit in. Okay, so you may notice this side is thinner than this side, and that's done on purpose because what I like to do is I like to have a slightly thicker edge against the flag itself so that when we glue it on, we can put some pressure on it and not worry about the shelf piece breaking. And trust me, they will break. I've had it happen. I've actually had it happen once after I got it all stained, and that was not a fun time, guys. So again, we're just making sure that our thick side's down towards the flag. And boom. So now what I'll do is I'll actually take the flag apart. I'll take all the screws back out. I knew something looked a little funky. Why don't you guys say something? Anyways, like I was saying, I'll take the flag all back apart so that we can then do our glue up. Once it's all glued together, we get the excess glue cleaned up. We'll then char all the wood, and then we'll go through the staining process. Once it's all stained, I'll put the flag back together. We'll trace out our stars, but we're gonna leave like a center clear because the dart logo is gonna go in the center of the union like you guys saw on the picture from the first flag. Well, unfortunately, guys, we're to that point of the video to where I'm realizing I probably actually have more footage than I probably initially thought. So this is going to be it for this week. I appreciate you guys tuning in. For all the new people, again, welcome. For all those that keep coming back, really appreciate it, guys. The video views are steadily increasing each video we post. Might be a little bit different because unfortunately we missed last week, but I know those that are loyal to the channel, they'll make it happen. And for that, I appreciate you guys. But hey, till next week, again, this is Guy in His Garage. I'm Cam. Thank y'all for being here. If you liked the video, hit that little like button. It does us a lot of good. And if you wouldn't mind, maybe subscribe to the channel. See y'all later.